on hitthatline.com.
We got a good one tonight. You got a team in here that doesn't respect you.
Live from the Busch Light Studios.
Don't ask me if I'm all right. Joaquin said dominate, and we not doing it.
We're going to go get one and celebrate on somebody else's field.
Matt Jones may take it to the house and the dunk.
Phil said you had very motivational words at halftime.
It's halftime with Phil Elson and Matt Jones. Produced by Matt Travis.
Hold the rope! Hold the rope! Hold the rope!
I'm putting my heart, dog. Let's go, man.
Probably as frustrated as I've been the first half.
Do we believe?
Second half, very happy.
Is vintage Matt Jones.
Hold the rope! Hold the rope! Hold the rope! 1, 3! 1, 2, 3! Turn that down, Drew!
Now, here's Phil Elson and Matt Jones.
Oh, the intensity. Boy, the intensity of this World Cup match. Brazil, Croatia. Extra, that ET, Matt Jones, it doesn't mean entertainment tonight, right?
Phone home.
Well, it doesn't mean that either. It
Yeah,
doesn't mean
right.
extraterrestrial. The word extra does mean something in this, though.
It's they're to see them run, and one of them did 10 miles in a game, and it's interval work. You know, like I'm working out and doing that. This like they're in the best shape. They're like Navy SEAL shape, man. They're just these athletes are just out of control.
10 miles, huh?
They
Stopping
probably
and starting
average
the
8
whole
miles.
way.
Yeah, but one player was feeling like a gold star that day.
It's funny, like all these years, and the feeling I think in America about soccer is breaking down as far as like the kind of athlete that they are. I remember growing up, you're like, oh, cute little sissy boys can't use their hands or anything like that. These are some pretty tough dudes.
Same thing. Yeah, baseball players are tough. Football players are tough, but soccer players weren't. Yeah, but they are tough, man. Imagine getting kicked by a horse. Golly.
Well, I remember we're going to talk about like the toughness of some things. One of your predecessors in not that chair that you're sitting in, because you're back in my home studio again. I don't know if SmackDown would have been able to sit in that chair, but we had pitchers go on disabled list, or now it's the injured list because of blisters on their throwing hand, and he was like, "Well, isn't that cute?" And I was like, "You go ahead and try to throw a baseball 100 times, when you can't even put any pressure on that one spot on your finger. It's just
It's kind of the same thing. I know a little different, but what Dak went through with when you hurt your thumb and you can't grip you can't be quarterback if you can't grip the ball.
Yeah, gripping is pretty important when it comes to handling a ball with your hand. But these guys can't do that. That's one thing soccer players could do. They could play with a blister all over. They could play with their hands cut off.
Right.
Like I'm advocating doing that.
The one of the things I love about it is they're ambidextrous. You don't get a lot of that. Imagine Larry Bird played a little bit left-handed. Kobe Bryant would shoot. They don't do that. These guys will kick it with both feet, and it's pretty cool to see.
Oh, how are you feeling about this match here? 0-0 Croatia Brazil. There are a lot of scoring opportunities in that second half. But
Croatia's mantra is keep it close, fight, almost like you would think Eastern European bloc type people, and they're going to keep it close and work hard and not make a mistake. They're a lot like the Amsterdam, the Dutch. They're gonna keep it close, stay in. Oh, and if you don't mess up, but they're perfectly fine with a 0-0 and go into penalty kicks.
Okay, so they're like you know how when we were talking about the teams going into the Cup, how you would compare some of the athletes to whether or not they belonged in the SEC, like an SEC football athlete, basketball athlete, something like that. Can we compare Croatia to Iowa Hawkeye football then?
No, Croatia has all 4 stars. They don't have any 3 stars.
No, I just mean in the style of play.
Oh,
low scoring.
Gotcha.
They don't care if they'll win 3-0, 6-0, whatever.
Yes, if you're going in their identity, that's exactly right. Yeah, they're going to try ball control, possession, not make a mistake. They're not necessarily going to have a lot of 4-3 guys, but they're going to try to be smarter and they won't misplace the ball. Where Brazil's going to be way more creative. They have way more flash. They have way more every single one of Brazil's players is a 5-star. Like if you talk about A&M and Alabama, every single one of Brazil's players is a 5-star.
They paid to be there
too. The guys on the bench are 5-stars. Like that's how good. That's why it's hard. In Croatia, that's the last guy to win the Ballon d'Or that's not named Messi or Ronaldo. and Benzema won it this year. But Luka Modric, number 10 right there, he's OG.
As far as the Ballon d'Or, that is the MVP of the World Cup.
The Heisman, yeah,
the Heisman.
It's the Heisman of the whole everybody. It's not just the World Cup.
Let's call it the most important individual
Ballon
trophy
d'Or.
in the world in
Messi,
all the sports.
Messi and Ronaldo have won it like 12 times out of the last 14 years. That's how wild it is.
Well, and we get to do this at 1 o'clock again with the Netherlands and Argentina.
Alyssa Orange. Every time the Netherlands, you gotta.
Do we know any Argentinians that we can say are rooting for? What's the nickname for the Argentina team? Like Australia's the Socceroos.
Yeah.
The Americans are the Yanks.
That's a good one. I'll have to figure it out because Maradona, who's considered one of the best players, him and Pele played at Brazil. Yep. Maradona played at Argentina. When you look in the Babe Ruth or the Michael Jordans, whatever, those are the two that you start with when you're talking about soccer.
Can I just say, like 4 months ago, if I was trying to plan or guess what life would have looked like in early December, and back then I didn't live where I live right now. I did not have watching the World Cup with co-host Matt Jones in my house.
Was it on the
studio.
bingo card? Yeah.
Not on my dance card, not on my bingo card, not on the Yahtzee card, not on anything that I could have thought of.
Life is good, and it'll be good one day. We got to go eat with Matty T. We got all three go hang out sometime. I've been trying to figure out something we could all three go do for sure.
Sooner or later, I think it'll come to fruition. Oh, we get the end of the week here today. This already feels like a Saturday as far as I'm concerned. So, what do we got? Oh, yeah, we had a close shave for the women's team last night. You know, I mean, I wondered about this going into the game last night for Nabes' team, and it had nothing to do with them or any doubts about success for this women's team. It was from what we saw from the men's team against UNC Greensboro, and part of that might have had to do with the injury to Trevin Brazil as well, but. The week before, the previous game, they'd played what looked like their best game of the entire year, right? Certainly that second half against San Jose State. And then that's just difficult to continue to play at a level like that on a game-by-game or even a half-by-half basis. And there was the same thing with the women's team yesterday. They played an incredibly great game, especially the second half against Oral Roberts on Sunday, and then struggled a little, went into halftime trailing against Lamar. And it's pretty rare to see Arkansas women's basketball not get into the 70s, at least offensively. But, it was pretty impressive to see them grind out a win because, you got to win when you don't play your best, right? I mean, that's part of being a good team.
I wonder, with being a young team, that how different was the contrast in styles of Troy to Oral Roberts? Like, were they physical the same way, or is it hard sometimes as players to change your mind because we were just in a knockdown, drag-out fight, technical, foul, and then all of a sudden now it's a different style of game. I wonder how different they were.
That's exactly right. So much of it is not necessarily like how you played in the previous game or how good you looked in it. It's the matchup that you're about to face. That's why throughout a football season, you can't go by what you saw the week before. You might be facing a totally different team with a completely different makeup and a totally different plan on how they want to go about it.
Yep, and if the coaches are worth their salt, they do that. They watch film and they try to scheme you up, and they'll know something a little different. Every time we played, and to your point, even when you play in-division opponents, which you will do in SEC conference basketball, going to a place and then playing them at home, they always feel different. They never feel like it's the same team out there.
It never is. Like playing against Vanderbilt isn't going to be the same when you play against Alabama. Mm-hmm. See, it's not necessarily you take, we look good against Alabama, so next game against whoever it is, we're going to look exactly the same. They might draw something totally different up. You know, what I learned from the men's game against Greensboro is that this is a team, I think, that can face adversity and an experienced team. I mean, that was the thing about Greensboro that stood out. It's like they were all seniors. They'd all been together for 2, 3, 4 years, and they played like that. They played like a team that, quite honestly, you don't see in the Power 5 very often because it's tough to keep a group like that together for a long time. And it's a different level of athlete, I think, too, because I don't know how many guys at a UNC Greensboro are going to go to the NBA. We might have a scoring opportunity here.
Whoa.
Oh, Croatia just kicked it above the crossbar. Well, I would imagine I'd get tired, too, after 100 minutes of running back and forth, even with a 15-minute delay in the middle of it. What I learned from the women's game yesterday is that this is an Arkansas women's team. Hey, they've won games now, scoring in the 90s, in the 80s, in the 70s, and now in the 60s. They're able to grind it out. And against a team that slowed the game down, and it came down to, I mean, each possession had a little bit more value to it than in a game where you just run it up and down the floor and it becomes a track meet. It was not that yesterday. Plus, both the men and the women winning games without one of their best players, and potentially their best player when it comes to Trevor and Brazil with the men, and Michaela Daniels, who sat yesterday for the second time this year with a foot injury, and it's not supposed to be something that keeps her out for very much longer. They continue to say day to day. Obviously, a much different thing with Brazil because he's out for the season. And hey, we'll learn, I think, a lot more about the men's team tomorrow against Oklahoma. It's your chance to go up against another Power 5 opponent. And I know Creighton and San Diego State are not Power 5 opponents, but hey, they belong in Power 5 leagues if we're going to look at it in that sense.
And
Creighton's in the Big East, so I thought the Big East is like when you talk about like
basketball's a little different.
Yeah, it's not a Power 5. It's
but
like
it
a
is.
7.
But it's still the same concept. I think what you're saying. Yeah, Creighton would be a basketball school for. I mean, dude, Creighton would be a great school to go play basketball. They got a lot of history there.
We had a text in from Chandler in Van Buren. He's got a soccer gambling question for you, Matt. Maybe we need to wait for that for later on in the show.
Shoot it, yeah. We'll get to it, yeah.
Yeah, Neil Atkinson from Bet Saracen will join us in the second hour. We usually have him in the third hour on a Friday, but at 1:15 on Friday tonight or today, that's going to be right after the other quarterfinal starts with the Netherlands and Argentina. So we're going to get his thoughts on that one too. So we've moved it up an hour.
Yes, looking forward to it.
Well, it's because we want our consumers to get the proper information before they decide whether or not to put a little cash down on that match.
It's going to be an exciting game, and this one looks like it might be 0-0. I take the over. I don't know what the question is, but maybe in the next game there'll probably be some more goals.
He said he bet on Brazil and goals plus
2.5.
He said plus 2. He said just 2.5. Maybe
means
he missed a number in there.
No, that means he's not betting the draw.
Okay.
So you get a win or a loss bet. Yeah.
I would never want to bet the draw in soccer, although it happens all the time.
Full time was 0-0.
That's
you would have won today.
It doesn't matter going into PKs.
It's over. You would have won the bet. Yep.
Boy, that's why you lost, Chandler, because you bet the 0.5. He asked, why? How did that work, even though the match is still going? Well, Matt Jones just answered the question for you, Chandler. Not just a former quarterback and wide receiver, not just somebody that knows his worldwide soccer. Oh, boy. There